We have to go like to the back like we're...
It smells like really old coolant. It's
Oh
it
my God,
literally
it looks like gravy.
Yeah, it's bad.
No, it's not. No, there's issues. We're fixing them. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Alex, and I'm originally over from Fitment Industries, but Branded Title decided to force me to buy a Ferrari F430. So we are here. Great news, the car is here. Greater news, it starts. Not so good news, it's still a rebuilt title Ferrari F430, which means there's a shit ton of issues with it. We gotta go figure out what's actually wrong with this car.
Alex from Fitment Industries.
Does it look like I know what I'm doing?
No.
Well, that's good, because I don't.
Well, we have an issue
Yeah?
that we discovered.
Is that why you just pulled out a camera and started recording without telling me anything?
Yeah, that's also why you're missing a cap.
Oh.
You're not missing the cap.
It's
The
right
cap's just not on.
What's wrong?
You got oil in there.
What's supposed to be in there?
That's the coolant.
So there's oil in the coolant.
Yes.
That's not good.
No. According to our mechanics, it's not good. So yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with. Kind of put their fingers in there and pulled out some oil, but we'll get it figured out. Just wanted to let you know. Plenty of content coming on this car. So make sure you subscribe.
Subscribe, baby. It's gonna be a party. All right, so here's the real thing. I have a plastic spoon. By the way, hi guys. How's it going? Hope it's going well. I was originally gonna take this out to test drive because we just got an oil change done on it. And the oil change, there's a little leaking that's happening. We think it's the O-ring in the oil cap at the bottom, right?
We didn't actually change the oil.
Right. So it's leaking oil. We haven't even changed the oil like they told me they were gonna. They're always off to a great start. My wife is here because we were gonna take it to an open house, but Becca Lawson informed me that we can't do that.
Oh, are you gonna eat it?
Because that's a coolant reservoir tank.
Why is there oil in it?
Well, that's a great question. Lawson, why is there oil in it?
I don't know. I'm just the camera guy.
Honestly, maybe somebody forgot
It's like
that it was not
it's like a blue,
the oil.
it's like a brown pea soup, and it's
Lick it.
all. No, don't touch it. No, don't.
I'm not
put
gonna
it in your
lick
mouth.
it. That's a joke.
But the real issue is that there is actually some solids and stuff that's
really
going on.
Gross.
It smells like really old coolant.
Oh
it
my God,
literally
it looks like gravy.
Yeah, it's bad.
There is much more oil in this than coolant.
Oh,
what
that's
I meant
scary.
to say. So
That's real scary.
here's the good news. We have two friends. Those friends are named Auto Select, my Josh, and Motion Products, aka my man Pat. Pat knows everything about these cars, and Josh knows everything about these cars. Me, on the other hand, my knowledge is extremely limited in this platform, and therefore, my biggest guess is that we just need to not drive it at all. Really, I think what we're gonna have to do is we need to dump all the fluids out. We need to do a combustion test, a compression test, and just make sure that there's no issues with the head gaskets or anything like that, because ultimately when there is oil in your coolant tank, that's usually a sign of a head gasket issue or a torquing issue. Now, because this car was probably owned by a 14-year-old, I am going to assume that there is also a chance that they just didn't torque the valve covers or their intake they didn't torque everything correctly, so we need to go through pretty much the whole thing. But until we do all of that, until we clean out this cesspool of Chef Boyardee flavor that's happening, a little bit of Flavor Town, we're not driving it. All right? I'm not doing it. I want to, because it would make for a great video if I just pulled up to Burger King. I got 4-piece McNuggets or 4-piece nuggets for $1.49, which, by the way, great deal. I'm never gonna spend more than $1.49 on 4 nuggets. We can't drive this.
We have to go like to the back like we're...
Okay,
Slow
I'm
down.
done. I'm good.
You're gonna get too excited and actually take it for a drive. Get out.
So this is great. I can take a lot of good pictures for Instagram, make it look like I drive it when I don't. The good news is, though, we don't drive any of our cars. So it's not like I'm missing out on something. It's 10 degrees outside. Because somebody thought it was Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition again. And we got to do stuff like that. Figure out why when I put the turn signal on, will it even work? No, it's not. No, there's issues. We're fixing them.
How you guys doing? I'm Pat from Motion Products and T. Rutland's Ferrari Parts. Branded Title stopped by one of our shops not too long ago. We gave you a tour of the cars we keep on site and a little bit of what we do over there, working on Ferraris and other exotic makes. Alex gave us a call. He's picked up a 430 for the Branded Title boys to work on. And just like any exotic, it's got its fair share of issues. So over at Motion Products, we have an SDX, which is the Ferrari factory diagnostic tool. The guys asked if I could swing by with the computer, hook up, see if we can get a list of codes. So a lot of times when cars come out of the auction circuit or have been in storage for a while and they're jumped, it can pop airbag codes, ABS codes, all kinds of issues. So we're just gonna go through, make a list of what we got, clear some out, see if we can run some tests, and give Alex a report on what the car's looking like. At least we know the alarm works. All right, let's try that again. It said turn the alarm off and open a door. That's what it's saying in Italian. I'll leave that door open so it doesn't reset the alarm every time. We've got a few different options here on these cords. This one's running right to the OBD2 port, and it's got integrated power supply. I'm gonna take a peek if I got something else. So we're having communication issues here.
So we're good to go now, huh?
I think so. We changed up the cables a bit. We're gonna see if this thing will comply now, if we can get into the systems. Make sure the alarm doesn't mess with us again. No noise, that's a good sound. All right, so we're gonna start back over. Go back in from the beginning and just start running through the modules here. And Sean's here, he's gonna write down any codes we find.
Cool.
Start with the immobilizer module. And it connected this time.
Set.
And we got 4 codes in there. So we got a PO41A, which is a battery voltage. Again, that's one of those things we were talking about earlier. It might have stemmed from someone jumping this, battery running low, improper charging, etc. We got a PO200, which is a transponder code. 2 different P0300, which is a serial line communication code. So none of them are showing as current. We're gonna try to erase them, and we're gonna see if they come back as hard codes or if they will clear out. And they look like they're hard codes. So they're gonna stay there. So we will get back to that. Let's keep rolling through. Next is the airbag module. Let's see if we've got anything in the airbag module. We got 5 codes in the airbag module. We got a PO3 ECU fault lamp connection. We got a PO5 passenger airbag cutout lamp. Cutout lamp's the lamp that comes on and says the airbag's off because the weight sensor doesn't sense a passenger. We got a PO2, which is ECU power supply. P13, which is CPOD, and then a PO8, which is the driver's front airbag first stage, which is probably the steering wheel airbag. But we're gonna try and erase all of these. Confirm erase. It's gonna tell me go off and on with the key, which is probably gonna set the alarm off again, but let's give it a shot. Just gotta know what you're doing, I guess. Finally learning this thing. All right, so we tried an erase, and they all are still coming back. So those are hard codes. Next module is the F1 gearbox. No errors in that one. Air conditioning module. No errors in the AC system. 2 different ECUs, 1 for each bank of the engine. Let's see. We've got a whole list here, but these modules are different. They list all the codes and they tell you whether the warning's on, off, memory, etc. So we've got a list of Looks like 10 different codes that have been set, but they're all memory codes. So we're gonna erase those. And then once you guys put some miles on it, gotta do the key cycle again. Once you guys put some miles on it, we'll see if any of those engine codes come back or not. No error codes. So we cleared all the memory codes out of the one bank's worth of engine ECU. I'm assuming we're gonna have a similar amount of codes in the passenger's bank. Yep, we got another list of about 8 codes in that bank. All history codes. So we're gonna erase these. And we're gonna see if they come back after you guys put some miles on it. Back to cycling keys. All cleared.
Hell yeah.
Brake module. No codes. Dashboard module. We have a B1005 suspension failure, and that's showing as a current hard code. B as in boy 100C, which is a brake failure, showing as a present. And then we have a U1604, and that's a TPMS no signal. So basically this is just saying that the suspension light's on, the brake light's on, and the TPMS light's on, which I think you guys have been in this before. All the kind of got a half Christmas tree going on this. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably a brake sensor failure. The suspension could be anything. These have adjustable dampening on the shocks, controlled by an electric stepper motor on top. One of those fail all the time. So it could be, but we'll get further into that. We can try and erase these, but they're all showing as present codes. So they're gonna come back. I'll do the key cycle again. All right, well, the brake error code cleared out. The suspension code came back as a memory code, and the TPMS signal is present. So I'm sure the first time you hit the brakes, it'll throw that code again for the failures. So again, once you guys put some miles on this, we'll see what sticks. All right, now we're going to the steering wheel module, 1602. So no signal from the can, so that module is saying no power at some point. A U1605 and a U1607, basically all saying at one point it was not powered. They're all memory codes. We'll try and erase them. Like I said, these things throw like 20 different codes when you jump start them. So key off, key on. Let's see if they come back. And then if you guys don't already, it's important to either turn off the battery on the battery switch on this when you're not working on it. There should be one in the front hood here I can show you, or keep it on a trickle charger so this thing maintains proper voltage. All those codes cleared out. All right, next is suspension, and we have 4 codes in the suspension module, C1031, right hand rear acceleration sensor, which is fancy Italian for wheel speed sensor. C1021, which is right front wheel speed sensor. C1022, left front wheel speed sensor. And all 3 of those are present hard codes. And there's a memory code for no communication that I'm sure will clear out as soon as we hit the magic button here. So we're gonna try this again. We're gonna play with the key again. Man, this is like 7 times in a row I haven't set the alarm off. I swear I didn't just unplug the alarm siren. All right, yeah, so the last code cleared. All 3 wheel speed sensor codes are still present, and those may be the wires you were talking about, you saw unplugged around the brakes wheel hub area. Tire pressure module, I'm sure this will have codes, they always do, if it'll even communicate. No communication, which is really common. These tire pressure modules fail all the time. Yeah, we're not communicating with the TPMS module, so we'll have to check if that's fused. If it's even still there, because if this was sitting in an auction lot, those parts are like unobtainium, so people steal stuff like that.
Sick.
All right, so we're gonna skip TPMS for now. We're gonna go right to the E gear. Excellent, only 1 code. C2031, incomplete vehicle coding. We'll have to dig in on that one. All right, that cleared, so that wasn't a hard code. Parking sensor codes, I'm sure we'll have some there because I think, didn't this have an aftermarket rear bumper on it?
Both front and rear aftermarket.
Yeah. No communication to the parking sensor module. So someone probably deleted that. All right, that's it. Everything else is coming back clean. That's every single module. So we went from like 40 codes down to 20 codes once we cleared the soft codes, the memory codes. So at this point, we've gone through every module in the car. Now, I think you said there was a couple things that were concerning you about the car we wanted to look at.
Yes.
So I'll unhook the computer, we'll pop the hood and start looking at what else needs to be checked out on this thing.
Cool. All right, so before we brought the car over here, we found some stuff in the back there that is a bit concerning that we would like kind of your help and opinion on. It's pretty bad.
Okay.
It's pretty bad.
What'd you guys find back
Well, inside of this coolant reservoir, there is some oil.
here? Excellent.
So that's usually a good sign of engine health.
Oh yeah, she milky.
From digging in there, it doesn't look like there's a lot, but my fear is that it was probably changed before it went to auction.
There's not a lot of moisture on the cap.
Or it's just been like that for a while and hasn't been run a lot.
Well, typically on these cars, if you've got oil in the coolant or coolant in the oil, vice versa, there's one of two causes. The more rare cause is a head gasket failure or cracked cylinder.
Yeah, so on the next episode, when we kind of dive into the oil and coolant mixture, lube-ish, air, that's going on in there, what's the steps? What do we need to do to find out what's going on? There's talks of compression tests, talks of some other stuff. How do we go about cleaning that, testing this motor, and making sure that nothing's junk?
Well, there's multiple steps I would take. The first thing I would probably do is it may make sense at this point to pull a sample of what you're seeing in the coolant tank, what we're seeing in the engine, and what we're seeing in the gearbox, and send them to Blackstone or one of the companies that does used fluid analysis. Because first thing you want to do is narrow down whether this is engine oil or transmission fluid we're seeing in there.
Okay.
And you can smell it, you can taste it, you can do whatever, but nothing's going to tell you better than having Blackstone analyze it and tell you what it actually is, so we can narrow down. Obviously, we're going to want to flush the living daylights out of the cooling system. And if it is tranny fluid, we're going to flush the living daylights out of this transaxle because you don't want coolant sitting in there. If it's engine oil, we'll flush the engine system, get all new fluids in this thing, get it hot, evaporate any water out of whatever the gearbox or the engine, wherever it is. Just keep an eye on it going forward.
Alrighty guys, so that's what we got on today's video of the F430. Now, in the next episode, we are going to be testing that mix of coolant and oil and actually seeing what's actually in there, and then flushing the whole systems, and then finally starting to get all of our leakage and everything fixed up on this car. I mean, this car nonstop makes a mess when it's just sitting here, so we want to get fixed up, and that's what we're going to tackle on the next video. So hope you guys did enjoy this video. Definitely make sure that you do like this video, subscribe, see you in the next one.